so let's talk for a second about why there are spirits in our dimension and they haven't moved on. So there's a couple of reasons. One of them is they had a traumatic death, right? It was so traumatic or so surprising that they don't know they have died. In some cases, they know they've died, but it was so traumatic and their energy is so low, they are not able to move on. And so that's one reason. Another reason is that people have died, but they are wanting to stay, their spirits are wanting to stay in this middle world to watch over their loved ones until their loved ones have moved on. And so they stay around for that. And they usually don't cause any problems because they're just watching over someone specifically, right? So they have that energy of knowing what they're doing. And so they're not going to come towards you, right? But when you have an energy, like I said, of going into a cemetery, of just wandering, then you're going to connect with wandering spirits, but you're not going to connect usually with spirits that have an intention of being there. And then another reason that spirits can stay is they know that they've died, but for some reason they're very attached to this material world still. And so there can be a difference between not realizing that you have died and then knowing you've died, but still staying in, the material world, the middle world, if you will. And so that can create problems because, being attached to the material world for a spirit is right. No good is going to come of that. They're very much attached and they haven't moved on. And so, again, this can be from things that happen to them in life. They know they've died. They don't have the energy to move on, or they're just heavily attached to the material, in which case you don't want to be interacting in a cemetery with an entity that's still attached to the material world, right? Like there's a very much deeper story to that. And so it's just something to be aware of. And you can usually feel these things, right? And it's, again, pulling off that energy I have found is the most effective thing to do